Hello, beautiful souls. It's your show host, Regina Huber from Transform Your Performance with the same website, transformyourperformance.com. And today I'm tuning in from Tulum, Mexico. And I'm here today with my special guest, Priscilla Stephan. More about her in just a little bit. Hi, Priscilla.
Hi, everyone.
So suspense. She's gonna share a little bit more in just a little bit. Okay, you may know by now that I'm an adventurous, eclectic nomad with a business based in New York City, and I just really enjoy traveling and broadening my perspective through it. And I'm all about movement as in travel, as in dance, and as in moving to different countries. And that's why I am in Mexico this week. I consider myself a free spirit, and all I do is in the service of freedom. The freedom to speak up, stand out, and shine, which is why I made this also the title of my book, Speak Up, Stand Out, and Shine. My eclectic life and experience on 5 continents has allowed me to become a multicultural and multilingual transformational leadership coach and inspirational speaker. And because I have seen such a multitude of sparkling brilliance in women all over the world, I have made it my mission for this show and for all its episodes to inspire you to ignite a fire wherever your path leads you, to move up that light dimmer switch and to keep it at its highest level, and really shine your brightest light out to the world, because we want to see you and shine with such a brilliant, sparkling spark that others have to put on their sunglasses when they're in your presence. And this will then help you to increase your influence and impact, and in this way also influence and impact your income, which allows you to live a more fulfilled life. All of this together leads to a more fulfilled life where you can really live in your potential. This is your show, What's Your Spark? What's Your Spark is about how you can show up more powerfully in business and in leadership. And we're still talking about leadership, the overarching topic of leadership in this particular piece of this series. And it's also for you to spark your unique leader brilliance out to the world. Really beam like a dazzling star with it. Shine with such a bright light, as I said earlier, that people have to put on their sunglasses when they look at you. And today I have a special guest for you. I said it before, I'm so thrilled about this. And she is going to share her very unique spark with us. I'm delighted to introduce to you Priscilla Stephan. Let me quickly introduce who Priscilla Stephan is. When entrepreneurs want to grow their business without working harder or burning out, they work with Priscilla Stephan, intuitive business strategist and creator of the soul fluent leadership archetypes. Through a powerful combination of practical business strategy together with soul guidance in the Akashic records, she excels at helping people identify their zones of genius, step into powerful leadership. Love this. I talk a lot about this. Priscilla, my signature coaching framework is called Your Powerful Leadership Transformation. So we're definitely aligned. But on with your very amazing and impressive bio here. She excels at helping people identify their zones of genius, step into powerful leadership, and live their purpose profitably. Yes, profitably. Awesome. Originally from Brazil, Priscilla is now based out of Northern California, where she works with leaders from a wide range of industries who have one thing in common: the desire to create a global impact, and live a life of purpose without sacrificing their time, relationships, or well-being. She is the author of the book Soul Fluent Leadership Business Guide, Amplify Your Message, Visibility, and Profits by Leveraging Your Archetype. Priscilla, again, welcome to What's Your Spark?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's lovely. And we two shared two home locations together, right? Brazil, where you're originally from, and Northern California. So I lived in San Francisco many years ago before I actually moved back to South America and spent more time, a total of another 7 years in both Argentina and Brazil. So we both share several different locations. Seems like we both really love to travel and move, don't we?
Yes. Yes.
And today, as I said before, I'm from Tulum. Yes, go on.
No, it's just wonderful. I agree with you that traveling expands our perspective and allows us to see the interconnectivity between all humans.
Mm-hmm.
And more of what we
Yeah.
have in common versus what we have that is different.
Yeah, I love this. Yes, the one thing we all have in common is that we're all different. Right, so, and there's probably more than that. There's but our energy, right? We all come from the same source, and we are all different for a reason. So I love this. Thank you for sharing this. Let me dive right in here, because we have a lot to share together, and I know that, you know, I am definitely very curious about your work. I've known you for a while, but we don't always speak all the time. I'm really curious to learn more about your current work and also about your new book. Let me start with my favorite question. What's your special spark?
Seeing the brilliance in other people and holding the space for them to see it for themselves.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And how did you find this spark?
I have always been like this. I always celebrate people. I can always appreciate and see from a young age what makes them special, or and reflect it back to them. And I do it truly as a genuine way to express my joy and celebration of what I see in them. And I find that that can be very reassuring and comforting, and a way to connect with other people from a genuine space.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tell us a little bit more about that story, though. So how did you observe this in yourself?
Well, it's funny because as we talk about the leadership archetypes later, there are 5 archetypes, of which I'm the mystic, and the mystics are here. We're incredible space holders for change. We're incredible catalysts, and we use our intuitive and creative and healing abilities to really elevate consciousness and create more harmony and peace in the world. And I just remember from an early age, probably 8 or 9, when adults would come to me and ask for advice, or they would feel like I was a safe place to share their troubles, or they felt I was a trusted ear to share them most intimate thoughts and fears and secrets. And so when I really embraced the mystic archetypes, and I realized that one of the kind of superpowers that I've always had was to really hold space for people to heal, to come up, find their own answers. It was just kind of a confirmation of something that I kind of connected the dots that had already always been there. And it gave me permission to really lean into that even more, and appreciate that the value of this natural way of being for me. But also, it was a way to not try to work so hard, or to add too much content, or to fill what I was doing with stuff, or material. While there is a time to talk, or to teach, or to share, oftentimes my greatest power is to hold the space and allow the other person to pour out what's already within themselves, and they can fill the cup without my doing it myself.
Love that. So there's something that's inside of them is probably just waiting to get an opportunity to come out, and here you are, and you help them trigger this, right? Yes, I love that. I love that. And I did your quiz. We're going to talk about that later, but I did your quiz that is on your website, and about the archetypes, and I discovered that I am a mystic, and that's probably why I'm also so, I don't know why I just thrive in change and transformation so much. But we're going to talk about that a little bit more later. I'm curious to find out more in a very egotistical way too. So yeah, so you've developed a body of work called Soul Fluent Leadership Archetypes that helps people lead in a more conscious way. How, what does that look like? Can you share more about that?
Yes, I think that now more than ever, we are realizing that the old models and paradigms of leadership that we have been shown or presented feel archaic or exclusive or just not appealing. I think the idea of being a leader sometimes can be associated with, I have to have, lots of experience, great college education, a really fancy resume, all these things, lots of external validation, right? And there can be a time for that. Maybe you do need a certification or something for certain things, but now I think that what we are realizing is a couple of things, and this is the promise of Soul Fluent Leadership, that you are a leader because you contribute. Leadership is defined as contribution. I think of contribution as adding value. We all add value in our day-to-day life as mothers, as sisters, as friends, as entrepreneurs, as corporate people. And so it gives us permission to level the playing field of what it means to be a leader. It gives us an invitation to define leadership for ourselves instead of taking on an antiquated notion or models of what leadership ought to be that are really not in line with what's available to us. And so Fluent Leadership is about creating win-win-wins. I call it the 360 win, where we, our businesses, our organizations, our missions, our teams, our clients, our colleagues, and the planet win. So what does it take for you to be a leader that makes decisions, that creates ripple effect wins throughout the board, right? So, you're not just, for example, you're not just creating profits at the expense of polluting the planet. You're not growing your company at the expense of burning out your team, right? You're not growing your profits at the expense of delivering poor service to your customers, right? Or diminishing the quality of what you are offering. So how do you create that win-win-win? And how do you be fully expressed? How do you be fully in your magic when you are showing up and leading in a way that is inclusive, that is egalitarian, that allows for more nourishment and flow and joy, and that really takes us from a me notion of leadership to a collective sense of we are all in this together. I am part of a greater whole. How do my decisions affect the decision of the greater good?
Yeah, I love it. You would also like, if you haven't read that yet, an article that I wrote about 2 years ago now about the new business consciousness. And it's on my website. I actually did a show on this about 2 weeks ago now. I think it was 2 weeks ago here on this channel. It's the new business consciousness of love, compassion, and co-creation. And it's definitely also about, we-centered leadership, about also just this win-win-win that you just explained so beautifully. And today we're also here on the win-win-women. So it's two wins. But still, we're definitely aligned. And, this entire idea of we and of changing the leadership style toward a more inclusive style that is truly inclusive and not the political inclusive that we are constantly programmed into, if I can say it in this way, where we really look at each individual rather than at categories. And this is also part of my concept in my work of humanizing the workplace that we've done some webinars about in collaboration with some other institutes abroad in the UAE and in Africa. So this is really, really amazing content that I love that you're doing this, because we all come together and we all do it in such a different way. And that's just about the special spark. You do it so differently. and with your very, own way of bringing it out in people. Yes. So this is why I was very much looking forward to this conversation today. You've already explained a bit what this leadership looks like. So let's talk about the 5 leadership archetypes that support people in understanding themselves better as leaders. Can you share more about that?
Yes, and the whole, archetypes are something that have been with us for eons, and it's just a way for us to access energies that are in the collective unconsciousness. Most of us, if I say, if you can conjure up images of a mother or a warrior or a goddess, for example, right, you can access within yourself certain images and feelings and energies. And so the power of archetypes, that it helps us to access parts of ourselves that are already within us, right? And so the 5 archetypes that are the soul fluent leadership archetypes are the mystic. You and I are the mystic. We use our intuitive, creative, and healing abilities to elevate consciousness and provide more harmony and peace in the world. All of your branding words, by the way, and messaging, transformation, performance, those are very much mystic words. There's the visionary, who's the disruptor. They're here to disrupt how we do things and create a better, more efficient world. There's the strategist. They use data and very complex information and streamline it in a way that we can understand. Scientists, people in finance, computers, for example, are just some of the people that really do complex work and allow us to understand it in layman's terms. We have the explorer. I like to think of it as Richard Branson, people that live and lead experientially. They're catalysts, they're connectors, and they help us imagine what's possible by experimenting and jumping in. They kind of jump, leap, and then they build the plane as they go. And then there's the divine feminine, which is all about community and collaboration. Their mantra is together we rise, right? They build businesses that are community focused, community informed, and community led. And so it's very much, there's a cafe in the book, the South LA Cafe, and their slogan is coffee, community, and connection. It's all about coming together and being with the community. So the 5: mystic, visionary, strategist, explorer, and the divine feminine. And so the whole point of the archetypes is to help you understand, to unlock that kind of soulful blueprint of how you're designed innately to add value to the world, your strengths, your challenges, your pitfalls, and how then in my book, how to apply your archetype in business in key practical areas, from branding to marketing to messaging to your business model, manifesting style, money consciousness, team building. Because what we have done so often is we look outside ourselves for templates and tried and true models of success. But often we do that first before we try to understand how we are innately designed at a soul level to truly do business in a way that's real and true for us and that fully expresses the genius that's within. So then we can allow ourselves to create a vision of a better world. So we're working with ourselves versus against ourselves.
Okay, that is beautifully explained. Thank you so much. Yeah, and of course, on all these archetypes, we have people who we like and who we don't like. So I personally would not put my name to Richard Branson for what I know about him. But there's always examples of everybody. In all of these archetypes, and I think that's really, really important to also recognize, right? So we're not better or worse because we are a specific archetype, we are just different. For example, when I did the quiz, there were a few questions that were hard for me to answer in this multiple choice list, because there were definitely some options that were almost equally important. So when that happens, I usually go back and I just, okay, what would I have chosen if you had done it just right away without thinking about it and just really going into my intuition. And that's how I chose those answers. But I do believe that, we're also sometimes And I'm curious what your take on this is. Also sometimes, combinations of these archetypes, right? There's one that's prevailing. What can you say about that?
We all have all of these qualities within us. However, we do have a dominant prevailing way of leading that we use in terms of the skill set and the way that we operate in the world. And while we certainly can evolve or may feel moved to step into the dominant energy of another archetype, let's say we're mystics and we decide to move into divine feminine, a greater aspect of community building, for example, that can happen. Yeah. It's a question that I've asked the guides. This was an entirely channeled body of work in the Akashic records, right? So I just sat down at my laptop and just started typing all of this, right? So it's not like it came from my brain. And so the answer that they've given me is that it really depends on your evolution, your spiritual evolution, and kind of the evolution of your business. However, has been my experience that, and also I should say a caveat that these archetypes are not here to limit you. They're here to be a catalyst, or like to say, to spark that opportunity to see something different and better in ourselves, but not as a way to limit, but more as a way to free us by leaning into what we already do so well. You know what I mean?
Yes, I can see that. I mean, it's a different system, but I have studied a little bit of, human design. So I'm just, it's very, very interesting. I wish I'd known a few things, and that's why I'm so curious to read your entire book. I've glanced through it, but I definitely still want to read it, with a lot of attention, because I learned so much when I looked into my more detailed human design, and I said, okay, this is why this and that did not really work for me in the past, because it was really not for me. It was not my role. That's not the role that I'm designed for, that I'm equipped for. And yeah, so it's so rich. That's why I love that you're saying, it's not to limit you, it's to unfold yourself in a more powerful way, in a more maybe in a more fulfilling way, as you're more aligned with who you really are, through knowing yourself better. Is that?
That's exactly it. Yeah, because you lead from a place of deep alignment, which I call in the book, it's the ultimate source of resource optimization, right? When you're in alignment, you're really applying your energy, your money, your resources, your time really optimally. And it's about congruence. Like you said, you're not being someone you're not really designed to be. And so this is about expanding, but also really deepening into yourself. It's about mastery, self-mastery, and that leads to depth and courage, and really going into different parts of yourself that you may not have, explored or considered before. But that can be deeply enriching and fulfilling, to use your words.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. And how has leading from your soul changed your life in your case?
Oh boy, I think trust has been a big one. It continues to be trust and faith and surrender through aligned action. I mean, 6 years ago, when my guides asked me to write a short book, the whole body of work came through in 165 pages. And I thought, what do I do with this? I don't understand leadership. I have no clue of archetypes. And I panicked. That's putting it lightly, because I said, this was 2016, who is going to want to hear about someone talk about soul-led leadership and archetypes when they don't understand any of this? I really thought people were going to laugh me out of town, right? That they did not match the notions of leadership that people were teaching. And while I can see that as a benefit now, I just saw that as a hindrance, because I was the outlier. I didn't know how to explain things. And I was like, how are they going to believe me, right? But now I see that, giving it time, and even the book and the business guide was an apprenticeship of 2 years to learn about these archetypes. And there are 15 businesses that are showcased in the business. So you get a sense of what can a mystic business look like? What can a strategist business look like? And And so it's really helped me to deepen into the knowing that my soul knows the way. It's like it's my design, my operating system. There's a way that I'm naturally designed to succeed and to add value in the world. Am I willing to take the time and the interest that aligned for me to go there? And that's really another offering. Like there's Enneagram and human design and astrology. There's, people have asked me, so how is this different? It's kind of like religion. Like they're all different paths that take you back home to yourself. Some will resonate, some won't.
Yeah, exactly. It's like holistic healing. I would compare it to maybe also, I studied several different types of holistic healing, which is not my main occupation right now, though the knowledge certainly flows into the coaching, and because I always take a holistic approach. And, I learned a lot about mindset and about how the brain works and the conscious and the subconscious and all of that, and how energy works. And that's also been for me that thing, where I thought, okay, what are they going to say if I talk about energy in business? Nobody knows about it. So these things, right? So we are all, we are all choosing what is probably, most accessible to us in terms of that's gonna be what serves us most for our path, right? And so some people will resonate more with your way, some people will resonate more with other systems or frameworks or whatever we want to call it. Yes. And other ways of doing things, other styles that people have, your style, it's all a matter of, okay, who and what do we resonate with, so that we can then find that thing or that person that can give us the most value. And that's also why we're all different. One other reason, right? In as coaches or as whatever our denomination is, doesn't really matter. Also, one other thing that I was thinking of is you were saying, in other words of what you just said, I sometimes say, dare to live in your purpose, or step on your path, because that's what you're equipped for. That's what you have been coming for. So, you would not be sent on the mission if you were not equipped for it. The harder part sometimes is to figure out what that is. That's what we came here to do, right? So yeah, great conversation, and we need to come to the end slowly but surely. We have only a couple of minutes left. We could go on and on with this, sorry. But one thing, just quickly, very quickly, we have literally 1 minute for that. So what does joy have to do with business in your view, and with leadership and living your purpose?
I'll pose it as a question. If joy was a priority value, dominant value in how you lead your business and what you want to experience as you run your business, would anything change as a result? Because oftentimes joy is an afterthought. It isn't the primary dominant choice. So all to say is that joy is a possibility in how you experience your business day to day.
Yeah, and as it with everything, it's about the path and not the destination, isn't it?
Yes, but I sure like to know about the destination too, I won't lie.
Yes, absolutely. I use my destination as my GPS. So it's basically my vision, so I use that as my GPS, and it's definitely my desire to get there. But once I get there, I'll have another new GPS and destination. I'm going to reset my GPS to the next destination. So again, it's a path. So, if I don't enjoy the path, then there's not that much left, only that brief moment. So I love that you are bringing up the topic of joy also in your work, any job, and maybe, in some cases make money much more automatically, to say it in a way, maybe not more easily because it's not going to be enjoyable, but you know what I mean, right? Well, we're coming to the end of this show, and it's been really lovely. Thank you so much for sharing your special spark today, Priscilla. And thank you to everybody watching us today, whether you're watching it live or the recording. I look forward to seeing you all again next Wednesday, same time, same place at 2 p.m. Eastern time. In the meantime, remember to keep shining, sparkle away like the precious pearl you are, because the world is your oyster.